Hey, my name is George and welcome to the YouTube channel Collapsology and Beyond, where I discuss various topics related to the potential global collapse of civilization. Today I am going to talk about totalitarian regimes as an existential threat to the human civilization. Now, this topic is relevant to the recent rise of so-called strongmen in power, including figures like Trump, Boris Johnson, Putin, Erdogan, Modi, Xi Jinping, and Netanyahu. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's define the term totalitarism. Now, this term refers to a political system in which the state wields absolute power and recognizes no limits to its authority, whatever in politics, the economy, religion, education, or science. It seeks to control every aspect of public and private life. Such states are typically led by a dictatorial figure who embody the ideology and goals of the regime. Historical examples include Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler, the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin, and of course North Korea under the Kim dynasty. Now, these regimes have collectively caused the deaths of tens of millions of people. While they often justify their action as necessary to achieve a utopian future, their methods inevitably become entrenched as a way of life. Ultimately, their aim is to reshape human behavior, turning individuals into obedient servants of the ruling elite. In this regard, totalitarian systems often succeed in ways that more democratic systems struggle to match. Today, the possibility of a truly totalitarian global regime is more plausible than ever due to the advancement in mass media, social media, and mass surveillance, especially with the emergence of artificial intelligence, which is a general-purpose technology. The rise of artificial intelligence could facilitate even more extreme forms of totalitarianism. We might find ourselves living in a digital panopticon under constant surveillance. If you are unfamiliar with the term panopticon, it refers to a building design that enables a single guard to observe all inmates without them knowing whether they are being watched. This concept is a metaphor for modern surveillance. AI and surveillance technologies could drive dystopian levels of control. A totalitarian state might use mass surveillance, automated propaganda, and artificial intelligence tools to maintain power indefinitely, eroding freedoms and stalling human development. Such a system would strip away what it means to be human. Philosophers like Hannah Arendt have argued that a totalitarian system's aim is to destroy individuality, reducing people to mere functionaries without moral autonomy or agency. Now, this dehumanization is itself an existential threat, undermining human dignity, creativity, and the social fabric of the society. Currently, there are around 1 billion CCTV cameras globally, with numbers rising daily. Half of these cameras are in China, which has developed a sophisticated mass surveillance system aided by artificial intelligence, including the controversial social credit system. This is taken to the extreme in the Xinjiang region, where the Uyghur Muslim population faces checkpoints, re-education camps, and pervasive surveillance. Through globalization, such surveillance systems have been exported to about 83 countries, enabling governments to monitor and control their population. Western nations have raised concern that these systems might also serve China's espionage efforts. However, totalitarian regimes also face significant drawbacks. They prioritize propaganda, military production, and internal security over the well-being of their citizens. While they achieve short-term goals through brute force and resource mobilization, they struggle with innovation and adaptation. Over time, they fall behind in political, economic, technological, cultural, and military domains, accelerating their decline. The concentration of power makes these regimes vulnerable to crisis. For example, during Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union, Stalin's regime initially failed to respond effectively due to systemic flaws. Similarly, in modern Russia, officials often fear sharing bad news with leaders, resulting in disastrous decisions. In a global totalitarian state without alternative systems for comparison, both citizens and elites remain unaware that better ways of governance exist. Over time, stagnation would lead to collapse. Such regimes rely on external enemies to unify their population, but in a global state, this unifying factor would be absent. Humans are instinctively drawn to strong leaders during perceived threats, which explains the appeal of today's strongmen. This leader often exploits fear of imaginary enemies to maintain control. Ultimately, totalitarian regimes tend to crumble as their propaganda loses credibility and citizens grow disillusions. As the Russian saying goes, the fridge beats the television. Practical needs eventually overweight ideological narratives. The emergence of such regimes can be prevented through measures like strong democratic institutions, a free press, addressing inequality, promoting education and critical thinking, fostering resilience and encouraging international collaboration. In conclusion, as humanity gains more power, we must also become more responsible. While I believe a global totalitarian regime is unsustainable in the long term, its collapse could cause irreparable damage to human civilization. The fall of such a regime state might leave humanity in a state of collapse. Finally, I would like to recommend some books on this topic. On Freedom by Timothy Snyder, The Age of Strongman, how the cult of leader threatens democracy around the world, and of course the classic from Hannah Arendt, The Origin of Totalitarianism. Thank you for watching. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter and Blue Sky, where I post more frequently. See you next time.